like a citywide like official fireworks display, or everybody just shooting off their own stuff?
A mix of both, I think. I know they did. I think they did something downtown, but I mean, this is kind of like it's somewhat like South country kind of areas. Like you go for a walk and you hear like a whole bunch of fireworks going off and people blowing shit up. So yeah, a little bit.
We had a pretty good story here in Singapore. They do a big, big fireworks display downtown city center, and um, I didn't go see it or anything, but I heard the next day like some people talking. They're like, yeah, actually, somebody's gonna get fired. The firework display went off like a full 45 seconds late. So like the clock strike 12, they did the big countdown,
Oh,
and
no.
like tens of thousands of people downtown waiting, and they're like, longest 45 seconds ever. So must have been a smoke break or something. Dude just forgot.
Proof that time is relative, right? Those 45 seconds must have been like
the,
forever.
the longest 45 ever. Yeah. So Singapore's pissed. They're like, what the hell?
All the
But
dogs are probably pissed. You probably had a whole bunch of scared dogs, just like what's happening.
45 seconds late. They're supposed to be pissed earlier. Yeah, totally. The best one I saw online was actually Texas, San Antonio, because I don't know if that was city endorsed or not, but it was like a 360 panel of like every direction was fireworks at the same time. It had to be the city doing it, as opposed to like one, like one area everybody's focused on. So it was just very different in that respect.
Did you guys see that video on X? It was, I think it was Paris. All the phones, everyone was like holding their phone up, watching the scene, and no one was actually like hugging each other or kissing or anything.
Nobody
Just
living in the moment.
no one was in the moment. Everyone was just watching the thing through their phone. So funny.
Yeah,
And
right.
people were saying this is AI generated, this is fake, but it seems like from the comments and the like community notes that it wasn't fake. It was actually that's how it was at the scene.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing, right? I know for me personally, to each their own, but I generally am like, why would I take a video? Like I know it's online somewhere. I can always
Yeah.
join this share. Yeah. I briefly saw this on the scroll and I just sighed and kept scrolling. I didn't even know what city it was or if it was real or not. It looks fake. Like that is
Yeah.
that it's too much. I don't know. I went to a Jack White concert last year and I thought it was kind of cool. Like before you actually get into he was in a theater. Before you get in, like the final check, you get a special bag, and you have to put your phone in the bag, and they lockbox them all for the whole show. It's like you have to just leave your phone. I think that's a.
How
I
can I
think it
look at
really.
my crypto?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well, we'll check the price as soon as I get out of this show. So, but yeah, that's the deal. Yeah, Thrax says, "What if you have two phone?" I guess, yeah, they're not ready for the two phone guys. That's I don't know. I can't remember if I got patted down or not, but they were like, "Yeah, we know you got a phone. Give it up." So, oh, okay. Sterling says the Kanye show, same thing. Yeah, this was my first show doing that. Maybe that's pretty common, but that was I think it really helps. Like you're not distracted. You're just like you're gonna put down everything for an hour and a half or 2 hours and have a good time. My poor Aavegotchi didn't get to go to the show, though. That's the sad part.
Right.
Well, speaking of being in the moment, we're a week into the new year. I know, like, Dan, as soon as basically everybody at Pixelcraft came back January 2, so it made no sense to come back, on the
Sure.
first. That was a Monday, but, like, everybody would have been just recovering and still in the holiday spirit, so we started
It's
up on
we've gotten back. I would say our back to work this year was huge improvement over last year. Last year it felt a little bit sluggish, but this year it's like we got shit to do. Everyone get back in motion here. Let's hopefully I don't think anyone on the team got like had a rough New Year's or was out. I don't know what they were doing, but it seems from how things have progressed that yeah, everyone had fun, but took the time to relax, and then came back even more like pumped up for what we're working on here.
Totally.
So
Yeah. And you really emphasize that, like, as we were all going on break, like, see you guys January 2, like really. It's
yeah,
gonna be go time. And everybody's super aware of like what they're working on, and there's so much to do, right? To get ready for the Gotchi chain and the game console and all the games that go with it. So, yeah, I agree. It felt like a great week back. Everybody had fresh feet, and
yeah.
nobody's like dipping out or late.
Our one of the first things it's not really done yet, still work in progress, but you guys might notice the icon for the server has been updated. We updated it to Christmas Gotchi over the break, and then didn't want to really put it back to AA with the new year. So the team, one of the last things the team was working on, and then just finished right after the break, was the beautiful new server icon. So we get a nice preview of a lot of the 3D gotchis that are in the works. Of course, these are still work in progress. There might be fine tuning made to them, but we get a nice little sampling as you hover over it to see all the various different Aavegotchi characters. I think these are the as Andy calls them, the champions, which are going to be some of the playable gotchis for like free to play characters in Spirit Force Arena. And I think some of them are also watching you in the game. They're like at the top there, kind of observing things. So yeah, the team's been making good progress on 3D, and we got a nice pipeline worked out now that should speed things up even more. So definitely really pushing hard to have something that's really looking great by ETH Denver, and we're going to get a ton of eyeballs on these games.
Not gonna lie, I screen captured that icon and I tried to scroll through each gotchi, but the
Nice.
the resolution just wasn't there. But
Yeah.
appreciate each one of those. Honestly, they look crispy.
Yeah, we did just put out a higher res
Oh,
video
nice.
that I think, yeah, there you go. That covers, I think it's all the same gotchis, just in higher res. So we got one of I'm curious to see what favorites you guys have. I know what my favorite is, but as we look at it, maybe we look at it together here. What are some of the favorites you guys have seen so far?
See here.
The waifu pillow looks great in the in the little clip.
Yeah, I really like that marine outfit, the Link Soldier, the green one. That
Yes.
is nice. With the walkie-talkie, you can see the little buttons and everything.
I'm so pumped for all the Link stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which it's pretty cool when you go back to our wiki. Like, you realize, oh man, all the very first wearables were Link stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
very low, like like literally the very first sets. So I'm glad how they've turned out so nice. I know looking at my PFP here on the chat, it's gonna look so good in 3D. I'm so happy.
I got the shaman poncho, keeping in mind envisioning what the 3D version would look like. Because I'm now looking at there's a gotcha here wearing the common poncho, what do you call it? The hat. And it looks nice. Like you got the fabric, you got the pattern down, and it's looking really good. Can't imagine with like all the colors and everything what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I love the marine as well. There's two. There's the green Link marine and the white one. And that one's looking so fly, and the green one too. They both look, but like just the military dress. They took our artists a little bit of time to like figure out what the references were for that. We had to search through the archives a little bit, but once they got it, it's looking nice.
What's the name of those? I can't remember the glasses, the blue and like very Gucci looking glasses that Link Marine is wearing. I mean, that really makes the set in 3D. I'm so
Yeah, didn't those
that
go with the yellow man bun?
I
Weren't
think
those
so.
part of the same set?
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
Yeah, the tinted shades or something like that.
Yeah, anybody with those shades should be pretty happy. Those things are
Yeah.
loud. No futuristic. You don't have your PFP equipped on this call, but I know you've got a ton of gotchis. Like, do you see any of your gotchis in these 3D, like in this GIF that we're all looking at together?
The closest one that I saw, I'm gonna watch it again, was the I think it was the one with the Aave suit, because I have one Gotchi that has a partial Aave suit. And then, I mean, honestly, I would love to see the man bun one, because there's a new recent wearable. I
Yeah.
forget what it's called, but it's the headwear that's like a blonde, like Conan wig kind of look to it. I put that on a Gotchi, added a mustache, and now it's my metaverse Johnny Gotchi, because it looks just like him in IRL. So that would be cool
That's
to show.
is that blonde? I think it's just blonde. What's it called? Blonde hair?
It's the wavy hair.
A wavy hair, yeah.
Yeah, I'll find
Of the Starlit set. Yep. Yeah, it's like another kind of version of the man bun in a way.
That's funny.
But
That looks like Johnny. I feel like that hairpiece since it came out just recently. Yeah, the Conan, like whoever tweeted that out, I was like, oh my god, it really looks like Conan.
Yeah.
And now you say that it also works well with the Metaverse Johnny look. Oh, I see it here in the comments. It does look like Metaverse Johnny. I've seen photos of him. I haven't met him in real life, but geez, that's funny. That hair is very versatile. You can do a lot
It
of cool
looks
stuff.
great. It looks great. A little GM bag with the seeds and a coffee mug. It's like the perfect morning show vibe for a Gotchi.
Seriously, that's a great set right there. Can't wait to see that in 3D. The mustache that he's wearing, or is that yeah, it's not the horseshoe, but wherever that set that facial hair is called is I think featured in the GIF up above, and looks really really good. So yeah, it's gonna be great. Face and I would do pretty bad at wearable name trivia at this point.
There's so many.
There's only like 250 or something, some crazy amount.
Yeah, true.
What'd you just drop here, Ben?
There's this
You got
hybrid
the-
he's dropped in the chat.
Well, yeah. This is so the devs have made like a plugin in Unity where you can customize your Gotchi with the different stuff. So this Gotchi wouldn't actually exist because it's Aave with uni eyes, but I think it was they were just showing off the uni eyes, and it also the horn looks just like the eyes as well. So this is what uni eyes will look like in Unity.
Pointy, very pointy.
You don't want to run into that Gotchi.
Seriously.
Win SDK. So the first thing is going to be shipped by the team will be this 3D SDK. So they have to finish the wearables first, and yeah, I think they're aiming to have all the wearables done by ETH Denver. It's a huge effort, but we'll be publishing that on the Unity store so people can download that. You can use these 3D models in any game you make.
Yeah, that's gonna be huge. I think there might be some discussion later tonight about some DAO proposals. Hefe, you might be able to speak to that, but in that context for builders, hackathons, anything along those lines, it's going to make a lot of sense once we can get some of this, in everybody's hands.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be talking about that proposal today for the first, for about 30 minutes during the call, and so we got some of the team members here as well. They'll be joining me, so we'll talk through that proposal. There's been a lot of feedback in the forums, so I appreciate it. That's all being taken into account. Yeah, and for maybe friends who haven't been following that, this is a great place to catch up on what's been going on. That front.
We had a meeting this last week with Lost Local specifically about ETH Denver and just the latest on that. Now it's the new year and kind of planning the booth and all of that stuff, and just really excited about what's happening there. So it's going to be pretty epic. And I understand, Hefe, you're going to be there. No Futuristic, Mike, all you guys on stage here, we'll all be there, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, ticket in hand, man. This one I'm excited about. It's gonna be honest before we know it, though. We sticker designs. We got things to do, right?
Yeah, it'll come up so fast. Yeah. And I imagine with the bowl kind of quasi having returned at this point, like it's a very different year than previous years, and yet last year's was the biggest ever. So I feel like this year is just gonna be bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, stake your sport, get your tickets. Now's the time to do that.
Can I
Yeah,
talk about some of the like slight logistics like that Lost Local has told us about, or is that too much alpha? Like, I want to talk about the blockchain arcade specifically.
sure, yeah.
Drop the
But real quick,
officer.
Just very
about
little
what
alpha. We
yeah,
got to
no,
see.
just so everyone listening like knows, if they get just one sport coin, they get huge savings to come to ETH Denver. Is that correct, Hefe? Is that what you were referring to?
That's
You
right.
get your
Yeah.
sport coin, you go and stake it, and you get free admittance. They just, I just got eligible for the tickets, so you have to download token proof and make sure that you download it before the, like, I guess the ticket expires, which is, for me, it was January 8th, so another 2 or 3 days. But I think you could still apply and you'll be waitlisted, but you should get attendance. So just do that quickly, though, because that's probably going to run out soon.
Yeah, yeah. So anybody listening that's like on the fence or wasn't considering going, it's like, you know, you don't have to pay those ticket prices, and maybe just reach out to No Futuristic or Hefe or any of us after the fact, and if you have more questions. But very doable, very easy, and huge savings. But yeah,
Crypto,
if you
to
just
answer your question. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. Future, it's yours.
Yeah, I was going to say we're going to be there for 10 days. There's going to be, I think, a 10-day activation at the blockchain arcade. We've gotten the kind of the map of where we're going to be. And the booth we have apparently is 10 by 20. So it's a huge activation booth. And it's going to be right on one of the main walkways. So we'll get a lot of foot traffic. So it's going to be epic. We're going to have some gaming setups there. And Lost Local can talk to more of the details. I can only tell you a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. And looking forward to knocking it out with these group of homies.
Yeah, 10 by 20 is I guess it'll be twice the size that we had back at Rare Evo. And obviously the big fake Gotchi will be making a big appearance again. Rare Evo was kind of a warm-up for the BFG. So I'm you guys are gonna have to protect that BFG. People were trying to like jump on it, and it's okay if they take a picture with it, but there were some guys getting rowdy with it. We're like, whoa, trying to pry them off the BFG.
Trying to get the ETH logo off. It's like, no, leave it. Get out of here.
People think it's like heavy, but it's really not. It's kind of like pretty light. It's kind of top heavy, so it topples easily. So yeah, it's gonna be a game of Gotchi Guardians happening in real life.
IRL Gotchi Guardians. That'll be my first
little
time seeing the
BFG too.
BFG, so I'm looking forward to that. That'll be
Nice.
cool.
It's so cool, just standing next to it. It feels really nice.
Yeah, I just dropped the schedule there because it gets a little confusing, but it's actually very simple. It like breaks into three parts. So you got Biddle Week, that kind of whole last part of February, and then like right at the very end of February is your main event, and that's like what, the 29th to the 3rd. And then if you really want to stick around, then they bus everybody out, however you want to get out there to Breckenridge. I think it's like a 2-hour bus ride or something, and then you're up in the ski resort area. So it's kind of, it's an epic experience if you can be there for all three. But even if you're just there for the main event, that's where the booth will be that Futuristic was talking about. And yeah, I think we got a good location. It's high traffic. And it'll be kind of, very heavily focused on the Gotchi chain and the Gotchi gaming console and everything that goes with it. So everybody's working hard to meet their sprints, meet their deadlines, and have some really cool launches or product to show in and around ETH Denver. So that's what a lot of the conversations have been about here at the first week is like, okay, you guys good? You good? We're looking good? That kind of stuff. Luckily, everybody is.
Is
Yeah.
there going to be any involvement on the Biddle front, like directly or indirectly this year for the Biddle week?
We were talking about that. I think um, we need to have like I think it'd be a great opportunity to show off Aavegotchi and the games and it's like especially if the grant program does get passed, it would be a really cool time to start promoting Aavegotchi a little bit more to developers. As long as we have some kind of more developer focused community members, DAO members attending that could help with more with that, then I think it'd be. We were literally just talking about that the other day. It's been a good chunk of time discussing it. Uh, yeah, I think it would be cool to have like an introduction to Aavegotchi, like how to build on Aavegotchi, the contracts, the SVGs, 3D, all that could be covered.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys were there last year, right? And there was the Gotchi Cafe event,
Mm-hmm.
like kind of down the road. I can't remember the name of that cafe right now. I was on their website during the call. I can't recall now, but it's kind of like they have two floors, and like the whole loft space up above was rented out for like a Gotchi meetup basically. And were any of you actually there, like at the event? I assume you were.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
we have a picture with the whole group of us. There's like 25 of us wearing those sweaters and or merch
Oh yeah,
shirts.
right. That's where that photo was taken with everybody. So like that was a great time, right? And a good event space. And so what we were thinking about is actually instead of trying to go find another thing and do something different, like do another one of those in and around the main event, like somewhere around that time as a side event. But then we kind of also discussed, and this isn't confirmed, but it's certainly interesting, is if we have good relations with them and the space works, maybe we can get it where during Biddle Week we also kind of have just like a different type of vibe going there, where it's like open house, come over for workshopping, and um, you know maybe we can actually get some devs that start their morning, say from 10 to 1 p.m., something like that, every day for like 3 days in a row. You can go to that cafe and there's Gotchi Gang there, ready to, help onboard you or at least help you explore the ecosystem and think about building something. So, if we could come out of that with like one or two new builders creating a mini game, an experience, a DApp, that would totally be a worthwhile endeavor. So, um, so that was discussed as like maybe that's a worthwhile thing to do as well. I know Jason's looking into it. They may have a lot of people wanting to use that space. It's a bit dependent on them, of course. But what do you guys think? Like having been there last year, is that a good space to like kind of set up shop for 2 3 days during Biddle Week and just do Q&A and pamphlets and information and free coffee, of course.
Yeah, it was an inviting space. The one thing I will say is we like sold out of tickets. Like it was a full event. So like up there it got pretty crowded because we had like it was a good problem to have. But if it's open for a couple days, I think that should be like steady, nice steady volume, I'm sure of like curious minds coming in there kind of getting like kind of an educational sort of vibe
Mm-hmm.
uh, for what they can do here on the protocol.
Yeah, and Jason made a point. He's like, I don't want to compromise what we like. He wants to do what we did last year, where we pack the house and celebrate and like have announcements and just like a really good time for not just devs, anything in between, like partners, founders, ecosystem, uh, peers, anything in between. But then like, so that'd be like one thing, like maybe on March 1st or March 2nd. But that first week, there's a lot of people that haven't flown in yet, and it's just like maybe those 3 days, there's like 20, 30,000 people in Denver for ETH Denver. But that Biddle week, he was guessing like maybe 2 to 3,000 people max. Like it's
Hmm.
a much smaller group of
Yeah.
just devs and for things to do. So that would be like just for them, like like very dev centric and two very different type of vibes, but same venue maybe, as opposed to trying to hustle and find two different venues. So yeah, pretty excited. I think there's potential with that. He's looking into it, and if you guys are excited about it, then it definitely makes it more interesting. But yeah, Youth Denver is going to be good. There's a lot of stuff to do.
There's definitely no reason to have two separate venues to serve those two different segments. That the Improper City is dope. It's a good HQ. It's relatively centrally located in the heart of the Rhino district. I will say that many of the participants are gonna see nothing but the National Western Complex. You'll have one portion of the community that are wanderers, and they'll walk around and go check out other venues and whatnot. But a good chunk and heart of the action will happen right inside the complex. So the booth will have a lot going on as well. That'll be the alternate HQ.
Also, those
Yeah,
the main conference I think starts later than our planned beginning of the cafe. I know that's hasn't been confirmed yet with Lost Local, but I think there's either going to be a little overlap or not much overlap.
sorry, I got lost there. You're saying like overlap with the cafe,
Yeah, the
or
cafe will be running more during the build week
oh
versus
yeah,
the
Yeah.
actual conference where all the
Yeah, there
details.
wouldn't be any overlap. We wouldn't. It would be like Biddle Week would end, and then the Improper City Cafe would also that our presence there would also end. We would just go over to the booth.
yeah, it's like because once that kicks off, yeah, you got 30,000 people descending on the main event, so we'll be pretty tied down, I imagine.
Yeah, it's more for just giving builders that are potentially there during Biddle Week like a place to hang out, get some coffee, say hello to some of our builders in the community, and like learn about Aavegotchi while they're sipping a latte.
Yeah, yeah, get a few questions answered, and hopefully we meet a few more Twans, right? This guy, man, I see him in the chat. Twan's showing up, making Flappy Gotchi and then Super Mario Kart Gotchi. Oh my God, it's like
And
dreams
all
come
it took
true.
was me making fun of his PFP collection. That was the start. No, I'm kidding. They have a one of one that's like has four tongues on its face and it's the ugliest thing in the world. But you know, Plutos are cool.
Probably looks rare though. Probably rare.
It looks rare, but it's because no one wants it. But that's just my opinion. Someone paid 4,000 matic. So
Well, even worse than that, when you caught my attention, no futures. When you start having to explain to other NFT holders why like mutable metadata and imagery is not ideal, that's always an interesting conversation.
oh, actually, yeah, Jesse and Dan, I'll bring that up very quickly. I don't want to derail things, but yeah, Pluto Misfits launched a holiday thing where they, without asking permission from the holders, changed the metadata on the background of the PFPs. So a lot of like the Pluto holders were happy about this, but I pointed out, I was like, here's a hot take. You know, the fact that they can change the metadata is not a good thing, and it led to a very deep discussion about whether that really mattered or like if it's a big deal. A lot of the new homies that are kind of on Polygon or Reddit friends, so they don't really care about it or understand any of this. But like for the OGs, we're
Yeah.
like, no, you should not be changing metadata. There's been examples of that going horribly wrong in the past. But yeah, cause I've been engagement farming by starting fights with other Polygon ecosystems in a fun way.
That's funny. Yeah, we sound like old men now. Like you can't change the metadata. But I mean, I think if the collection is like one of the marketed aspects of it is that they're gonna change the metadata like for different events and stuff, that would be neat. But if they don't mention that ever and you suddenly wake up and your PFP is like different, that's definitely kind of a red flag.
Crypto Gotchi. Yeah, a lot of shaking fist at the sky. But no, I mean, I didn't catch the conversation. There's probably a lot of good points on both sides. It's just like, uh, yeah, metadata is sensitive, right? So as long as everybody's like knows what they're getting into, then I guess it really depends. I don't mind if it was all on chain and there was a DAO that would control the metadata, then it gets interesting. Oh, there's the menu from last year. I freaking love this menu. You guys, whoever put this together, I don't know if it was Jason or in concert with you guys, but some great names in there.
Yeah.
Let's read what we got here. The Common Coffee, Americano with two A's. Kek Espresso makes sense on so many levels because, like, you know, it's just like straight to the veins. So it's like Kek.
I don't even know what a cortado is.
Um,
Jeez.
They put milk in it. Yeah, I had to learn some stuff for this cafe.
So,
This is
is it a
like some
latte?
barista,
Yeah.
yeah, barista level stuff here. Mythical matcha.
Well, Jesse, that one was fun because a lot of those titles were sourced from the community. We did that on these Saturday calls,
Mm-hmm.
and we just did a lot of
Nice.
open calls for action on the community side. The other one you'll remember too is that we had a wonderful sticker armory behind us when we went to Denver last year, and that was all community sourced as well. So this year with Aavegotchis in the mix, there shouldn't be any reason we're
We
lacking there
have,
too.
yeah, we got so many stickers that we can make. It's insane how many there are.
So much good stuff came out of there. Yeah, I'm kind of off the cuff here. I like my memory. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like it's shot. I'm forgetting wearables tonight. I'm forgetting ETH Denver last year. There's just like information overload. I literally had this conversation with my wife like 6 hours ago. I was like, she's like, you didn't remember blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm so overloaded. I don't remember anything. I don't remember. I'm a goldfish for
You're
the next.
you're
It's a
entering
thing
your
when you become
memento
father, though.
era.
Your
Yeah.
resources are being dedicated towards other things, so memory is going to be one of those things. And lack of sleep probably doesn't help, but good luck
Yeah.
with it.
And just like until we ship Aavegotchi game console, like I'm not gonna remember anything. It's gonna be a big blank slate.
Be a
So
blur.
yeah, literally.
It's just a vibe. We forget all the stuff. It's just like, yeah, the vibes are good.
Live in the present, move forward, make
Yeah,
cool
man.
shit. That's where we're at this point.
No, we can't forget everything, obviously, but it help having the wiki and all the a lot of stuff we've said in the past is written and documented. So it is nice to be able to go back and look at that and be like, yep, said that. Make sure we do that as well. But yeah, a lot of it's just living in the present.
One of these mornings, can I get one of you, either Coder Dan or Jesse or somebody from the team, to come on to either the Echo Chamber or the Polygon Hangout, 10 a.m. Eastern? I know that might be a little late for you, but just to talk about wearables and stuff like that, because I've managed to onboard some new friends and they're all super interested in this stuff. And I try to give like a good overview, but I find myself just ranting because I'm not like built for this part of it. So it might be cool to get you guys to come on and just talk about the depth of our ecosystem, because people are becoming more interested and learning more, and it would just be cool to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I remember was it like Thursday at 9 a.m. or something.
We run Monday through Friday. Tuesdays
Oh,
and
is it every
Thursdays are
day?
specialty shows, but yeah, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m.
Oh,
Eastern.
cool. Yeah, it's if I don't have a call, usually we have a lot of calls in the morning or in the evening our time, because that's when the US or like the US is up or like PST is up. So if we don't have calls, I'm usually happy, like a Thursday or a Friday, usually happy to jump on. Just give me a ping.
Yeah, or just if you want to promote it and stuff. I mean, we could book one of those for sure. One
Yeah.
of the two of us, because, like Dan said, like the way just with fully remote team, like usually that time is pretty competitive because yeah, all the Americans are coming online and we got to meet with them, and 9 10 a.m. is like their morning, and if you go much later, then it's after midnight for Dan and I. So we book a lot around that time, but. Yeah, Thursdays are generally one of the lighter evenings sometimes.
Mhm.
So we just let's try to do it like this week. If I don't think I have anything booked for Thursday yet, so hit me up in the DMs in the future, and Dan or I will try to join this week, because if you've got an audience that cares, then we want to talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, heck
Speaking
yeah.
of spaces, wasn't there like a all roads lead to Polygon last week, or I guess yesterday? I think we had a presence on there. Again, that's like another space that I wish I could join that every week, but like they started at, I think it's like 11 p.m. for me, which I'm usually finishing up a call or something, and then it's starting on a Friday. Horrible time. I wish they could do it a few hours earlier, but I get it. But
Yeah, I think
didn't
Luke joined for us.
yeah, was Goobs on that? Did anyone listen to the AL? How do you ARLTP or whatever it's called? You can't try to figure out the acronym. Nice.
Joinia says, yeah, he was there as Licky's Escape. Right, the Licky's account. I think he went there
Oh,
repping
nice.
Licky's and drawing some attention. So that's pretty cool. Lickies is coming together, guys. We had another great meeting this week. Everybody got back together, huddled up, and basically it's a couple, maybe a 2 week sprint here, and we'll see where we're at. We might be able to, submit it to Apple after that sprint. So this might be the last sprint, unless there's more bugs than we expect or any weird surprises. But at some point, there's always like tweaks and changes we want to make, and we all like committed. We're like, no, like this is the game. We're there. We gotta ship this baby. So that's important because again, like we want to have an actual game completely 100% shipped and live when we get to ETH Denver. And
Yeah.
the wild card, of course, is you never know how long Apple's going to take to approve a new app for the App Store. So yeah, it's in a good spot.
Is this going to be a Apple only launch? I guess to begin with, Apple only launch, right? And then maybe eventually Android. I'm an Android guy, but I got some phones laying around here I could borrow. Use my girlfriend's phone.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's gonna be Apple. Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, no, it's Apple for sure. And then like, if it does what we expect it to do, then there's enough demand and it makes sense. We'll totally reinvest in making it get on more platforms. Android, Nintendo Switch, wherever we want to put it.
Nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. So, the devs, everybody's like on board with continuing if there's demand and it makes sense to continue. So we'll go step by step. Because at the end of the day, like our main focus is Gotchi Game Console and really like the Gotchiverse, the Spirit Force, the Gotchi Guardians, that kind of stuff. But this one has a very strategic purpose, right? We've talked about in the past. So as long as it's succeeding on that front, then we'll double down.
Yeah, I have to say it's an addictive game, man. Like I really enjoy that. I like the puzzler style games, so one's for me for sure.
Yeah, we between now and launch, we have to talk more and like get more information out about the NFT aspect because I feel like there's just not enough information, right? Only what we've said on these Saturday calls once or twice, but there is an NFT aspect. You beat the game, you're gonna have an opportunity to basically take a claim code, and then when Gotcha Game Console goes live, you'll be getting one of the first like NFT mints on the game console, and there'll be a Licky's rare crypto art from Stellar. So,
Say
I
the
think we're
word,
gonna
Jesse. Say it. The A word.
what? I'm actually lost here. Which A word?
The A word.
I said Apple. It's on Apple.
Airdrop. No. What you're describing sounds like an airdrop.
Oh yeah. No, it's not. It's a play drop. You know how we do.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to play to get it. Yeah. Say the word. I'm like, what? No, I think the part that excites me is like we haven't described what that artwork is or what that NFT is. It's not a fake gachi because imagine 100,000 people are playing and you can't give a fake to, there's only 100 editions of each fake. But I think it's going to be kind of a subcategory of NFT collectibles for Lickies, and they'll kind of fill the range that we're all accustomed with from common all the way up to godlike. So you don't know what you're going to get. Nobody knows, but it's gonna mint you, one of 6 different artworks from Stellar, and so you're gonna have some incentive there to really beat the game. And even if you get the common one, that'll be the uncapped one for no matter how many players download and play the game. But they're all going to be beautiful and nice. And I know Stellar's put a lot of time and thought into making these, so they're going to be special. But imagine getting pulling a rare, a legendary, a mythical after beating Lickies. It's just like, mwah, creme de la creme. So super excited for that. And then trading them on the new Gotchi chain, or hoarding them, whichever you prefer. I see Love Gotchi saying, does it tie into the bazaar? And yeah, that's what I mean. These will trade in the bazaar. Yeah, the new bazaar, the bazaar 2.0 on Gotchi chain.
Gives me vibes of those very early Aavegotchi NFTs, which I'm kind of jealous because I don't have. I wasn't early enough
Oh,
to
yeah.
classify to get one of those. That was from the agent missions, right?
Yeah. So like the Aave one, right?
Yeah,
That
Choina
was
knows what I'm talking about.
was that an agent mission? I think it. How did we distribute those? It's been a while.
My
Again,
memories.
like we're going back 3 years.
We're going like
3 years
ancient
into the
Gotchi
past.
lore. Yeah, we're going like way back now.
Boot up the wiki here.
Here, let's see, Chonya or FaZe or somebody's gonna jump in and answer this. We don't know.
No, this is like we're going way back now.
We're not
Yeah,
over
yeah,
that.
yeah. We know what the agent missions were. Both the Aave and Aavegotchi collab. I think that was like an official mint that we did with Aave. I don't know if there was a specific like reason we did it. I think it was just kind of like, it'd be cool to do an Aavegotchi official mint.
But this is like the next official mint after that. So this is like your chance if you missed out on the OG one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
Yeah,
we could talk a minute about like expand on that. Like, I'm so excited about Bazaar 2.0 and the Gotchi console because like you're gonna have Dan, can we spill a little? I mean, yeah, why not? Let's just talk about like how it's gonna expand into subcategories and sub collections, right? It's kind of already doing that. Like when you go to the Bazaar and you want to go to fake gotchis, there's that kind of like icon you click and you're like, okay, I don't want core gotchi stuff. I want to look at fakes or
yeah.
it says coming soon, Spirit Force Arena NFTs. And like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I know, and we've gotten some feedback that people are like losing their land. They don't know that you can click on that, but I think it's gotten a little bit better. But we are also going to be adding like a front page to the bazaar that lists the different collections, kind of like what you see on like a Magic Eden, I think, like where they have all the different collections listed by like volume and names and stuff. So that's the goal, is to get to a point where, yeah, all the data of volume and collections is kind of visible on this front page, and you can look through all the collections. And then once you choose the one you want to go into, you just click on that, and it loads it up. But the new bazaar, it's a tricky UI actually, because we don't want to have it like OpenSea where each NFT is its own contract, and like you go to that page and you're only looking at apes, or you're only looking at wearables, or you're only looking at gotchis. We wanted to have some way that you could easily switch between the collections and like the different games. So we've just been exploring that UI and getting feedback from people on it. So for once Gotchi Chain is live, that bazaar will also be live, and it'll be the hub for trading NFTs on Gotchi Chain. All the games, any game that is live on Gotchi Chain wants to plug into the marketplace will be able to do so. Obviously, like Guardians will have its NFTs that are created from playing the game. Spirit Force, Gotchiverse, maybe Play Dropped. Basically, anyone that has a NFTs will be able to trade those on the bazaar, which kind of ties back into what we talked about last time, the ghost staking. So, and that proposal will be coming out probably very early next week. It's basically ready to put out and get some feedback from the community on some various things, and see whether there's appetite to include that proposal.
Everything's got to kind of tie in and reinforce one another, right? It's like all goes together. It's all one ecosystem at the end of the day. But just to, yeah, like the reason I mentioned why I'm excited about the bazaar is like the scale of
Yeah.
it. It allows the bazaar to scale. If dropped launches on Gotchi chain, then they can issue smart contracts of different NFTs, and like each smart contract would be like a subcategory. So they might have skins, they might have game items, they might have power ups, whatever, and they could pretty much, hop in and set that up with very little kind of curation or admin from Pixelcraft. We don't want to have to admin everything because then, like fake gotchis as a model, like it kind of is organic and can just grow on its own with multiple participants. So that's kind of the mindset there. Is like open sourcing the bazaar and also having a UI that can support scaling it to far more collections, far more. I mean, what we had a meeting this week with Gotchi Guardians, kind of the kickoff for the new year, and kind of went over just how many subcategories of different types of assets, people might want to be able to win, collect, or trade. And it was like, what wasn't it like over 10? About 10 different, like, it's not just like, oh, skins. Like, no, there's like so many different things you can get from playing just one game. So it's gonna be really cool in that respect.
I love the idea of having games not only plug into Gotchi Chain, but then the main bazaar. It's like having your own, like your own like OpenSea kind of for the
Yeah,
game console.
totally. That's literally the vision. It's like looking at what the potential of having a kind of a chain central marketplace where all the NFT trading happens, like what happens on OpenSea, except now with the staking proposal, that some of the value or a decent chunk of the value created from that marketplace actually flows back to like the governance token. And I think that's something that no one has that I've seen has done yet. Even Axie, I was looking at their marketplace, like they do a lot of volume, and they have this like thing in their blog. It says at some point in the future, some of this revenue will go to AXS holders and stakers. There's no timeline for when that will happen, if it'll ever happen. So we're going to be probably the first to actually do that. If obviously if the DAO votes on this proposal.
Yeah,
Hey, Neki.
Potential to be first, but yeah, I think it's a. What were you gonna say, Hefe? Like
no, I
it
was
sounds
just gonna
pretty.
say when Aavegotchi Bazaar exceeding OpenSea volume.
Well, there's a tweet there, at least for Gotchi Channel, like, uh, 1 week after launch of Gotchi Channel, like, yep, the Bazaar is the highest grossing NFT marketplace on the Gotchi chain, higher than OpenSea. So OpenSea's not the point.
I like that.
Brings me back to early, Polygon days up until what, the last year and a half. Like for a long time, that was true on
Yeah.
Matic. So literally, there was no other. That's why we had to build the Bazaar. There was no other marketplace like with reasonable volume and a good UI.
Yeah, it wasn't a marketplace. I don't think there literally was one.
The
There was.
OpenSea was not non-existent. Yeah, I don't think there was one. God, we were freaking early.
Yeah.
So,
That's always the
yeah,
vibe. Gotcha gang shows up early.
well, what are you guys looking? What are you guys excited about for the new year? What can we be first to? Are we overlooking anything? What can what can we bring to the table for Web3?
Well, I'd say it's the first collection I know of that has 2D avatars and that's gonna have 2D and 3D avatars for the same NFT. I don't know if there's any other collections out there that have that.
Good point. I was wondering that, at one point. I was like, has anybody else done this? I feel like I've heard of somebody talking about doing it, but I don't know if they actually had. And
Yeah, I don't know if it's the first, but it's definitely there's like an elite club there's only
I,
a
I
handful.
I assume Bored Apes are doing it because, right, you see the 3D apes and their trailers, but like I
Yeah.
don't think anything's live. So
I mean, I'm stoked for the Gotchiverse as well to see that all in 3D and I'm not like what. Do you think we'll see that in 2024? To have some version. I know you guys showed us an alpha sneak preview last year of
The
the.
Gotchiverse, like
Mm-hmm.
3D.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So right now our roadmap is get Spirit Force Arena to a point where it's ready basically for deployment at ETH Denver, and then like there will probably be after ETH Denver there might be like one or two sprints with the team where they're fixing issues that were discovered or like doing final polish. And then I mean Spirit Force Arena is like it's always been a first version of the Gotchiverse using the Unity tech and like the Fusion engine and things like that. So to go from there to land is not that big of a jump. It's really just figuring out the flow for like build mode for land, and then connecting all the different like land together in a seamless way. So that'll definitely take some time, but we're absolutely like we have to get Gotchiverse 3D done, and we're definitely aiming to have like something playable for you guys as soon as possible. We just got to finish up Spirit Force Arena because it will be debuting kind of in a bigger way, along with the player progression system that we're working on at ETH Denver.
Yeah, well said. I'm really like happy with where Spirit Force is, and it's going to have like ongoing content and loot boxes and updates throughout the year. That being said, like the core of it is pretty much it's getting really close, and whatever's missing today will be done in the next month and a half. So, um, so the team's pretty much like all in on that, and then at the same time, everything on paper is ready for Gotchiverse or being worked out, so that as soon as those sprints are complete, those resources can go and start getting land spun up, farmed, and some other cool stuff. So, we I once in a while I see some people like, oh, they forgot their own white paper, light paper, things like that. It's like, no, like actually that was my favorite. That's always open on the third monitor. So we can't wait to get back to that, and you know that being said, I mean it's true. I love the light paper and everything in it, and it still excites me, and there's stuff we have unfinished business with there. I gotta get those black hole installations, for example. But there's also parts that, like I think Dan, you'd agree, like at some degree, it's okay if like there's something we look at and we're like, you know what, actually that's not gonna move the needle. Like maybe that was just a bad idea. Like I'm not thinking of one thing in particular, but just in general, like we have to be flexible, but we also want to honor the light paper and
Yeah,
also
I mean, we're in a
the
like
vision.
super competitive space here. We can't just put our heads in the sand and like not look at what any other projects are doing that are emerging, because that's a quick recipe for unless what you're doing is so revolutionary that it doesn't matter, which I don't think it really is. We're building a crypto like gaming ecosystem, and the Gotchiverse is kind of the one of the central points for that. But it's not like a revolutionary tech that we can just not look at what anyone else is doing and ensure that we're going to be winners. So we're definitely taking notes of other trends that are emerging in crypto gaming, and seeing how we can apply those like to the Gotchiverse while also keeping the core of what we want the Gotchiverse to be like alive.
Well, with the crypto craze coming in the bull market that we see, especially on the normie, maybe non-crypto side of things, to me, like, and it attracted me when I first came into the space, was just like the crypto aspect of the Aavegotchi. I'm like, I want to learn more because I seen this Bitcoin Gotchi or seen the Aavegotchi. I know the Aave token, but what's this Aavegotchi, right? So it's
Yeah.
I know there's been a few people that mentioned that. So there's an attractor there that I haven't seen across a lot of other NFT projects that are maybe geared more towards only crypto
Yeah.
native people.
I was actually thinking, like, I mean, it's not the first time I brought this up, but maybe we should start allowing, like we're kind of limited what collaterals we support on Gotchi foreheads right now, because we were kind of using the only ones that are on Aave. But like, it would be kind of crazy if we had a way to allow any collateral, and like we're listing them like an exchange almost. Like, all right, we're gonna list Sol collateral this week, and anyone, you just gotta stake Sol to like create a Sol Gotchi, or like I mean, Gone is like it's a meme coin. It's so so small as a market cap, but it could be like funny. Like there could be more potential to expand like our reach a little bit more, and get more communities involved if we opened up the collaterals more, instead of kind of being Aave purists a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean,
Fake
Jupiter
Gotchis are,
is doing his
yeah.
thing, so we could do some bonk related stuff to get some of that Solana action.
Yeah, I mean, like if we launch a new Gotchi, it's not that much work. Like we have to, we would have to have a system set up for allowing people to like mint the Gotchi, but at the same time, we don't want to dilute the current Gotchi. So I think the proposals I've seen would be like getting some essence, and then like using that essence to basically revive a Gotchi that has already been sacrificed. So if it's, I think we've had about 1,000 Gotchis that have been sacrificed so far. So theoretically, without expanding the supply, you could put a feature that says, all right, if you can mint any collateral Gotchi you want, as long as you stake this amount of Spirit Force into it.
Yeah, that kind of makes there's a ton of ways you could go about it though. You'd be like, well,
Yeah.
I want to use my Alchemica and glitter, so let me
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need glitter Gotchis. Like if we were to do that, it would open it up to ghost Gotchis, glitter Gotchis, or whatever. And whether or not they change the actual content of existing portals, or it's another mechanism, would need to be like decided. But I don't think just only using Aave collaterals at this point doesn't. It's like it's not a way to really get adoption.
right the the spirit force in all of our gotchis today, like that interest, we never really did anything with that interest, and the interest rates are so far and different between each one. It's like very hard to come up with a comprehensive reason for caring about that. Like it's been 3 years and there's not much reason there. So
Yeah.
resurrecting is interesting. Another way is like remixing. Like if I could just take the gotchi I have, which is Link, and be like, you know what, I'm I never know if Sir Linky is just serious with his tweets, by the way. He doesn't have to say anything, but like he's like love hate with Link. They crack me up. I'm like, what's going on?
He's dead serious.
Is he? Well, either way, like be like, all right, you know what? I'm rage quitting on Link, and then I'm gonna, if I love my gotchi, I'm gonna, whatever, take the Alchemica I farmed and spend it to remix and pick a new collateral, whatever. So I've never thought about this actually in depth before, but it's a very interesting idea.
You guys familiar with the Build-A-Bear workshop? It's like
Yeah.
that's what this kind of reminds me of. Is like you go there, you pick out like your textures and stuff, you pick out what you need, and then I think of the Spirit Force as like the little speaker, because you get to like record something that you want it to say. So you record something and you put it inside, and that gives it like it's like the life of the Build-A-Bear, right? So I don't know. It's kind of interesting to have maybe have like a Gotchi workshop or something where you can go in and build a Gotchi. If you have the essence, you got the essence, you got the collateral, you got whatever else you need to build that, and then you can put together your Gotchi.
Does the Build-A-Bear factory let you bring in a built bear, rip it open, and reconfigure it?
See, that's next level stuff right there, and I don't think it does, but there could be some mechanisms, on-chain mechanisms for that.
I want my ghost gotchi so bad. That's all. But I know we can't get the third haunt yet, so
Yeah.
I have to think about it.
The essence
There's
balance will
no
work. Now the essence balancing will work. Yeah, this is not portal amending in my opinion. I think this is definitely an after the fact process that the question is, if you build a mechanic, would there be any limitation on the collaterals eligible, or would you
Yeah,
create the factory?
I think we'd have to have some limitation because the art would need to be created for each one. But aside from that, like we could list collaterals as an exchange would do. So we could say, like, all right, this week we're gonna list glitter and FUD, FOMO, alpha CAC. But of course, they don't generate any yield. But I think the yield generated on Aave is really not that significant. So I don't think it's a huge detriment that those tokens aren't yield generating. It would just be cool to have a FUD collateral gotchi running around, or like a ghost collateral gotchi. I think people would do it just for the flex.
If we really wanted to keep it Aavegotchi and the Aave and Aavegotchi, then you still have to have. That's where the remix might be better because you still have that spirit force generating yield, but then you get a second token to
Right.
change the flavor. Very interesting stuff. I know we're moving into DAO hour here, so but brainstorming's fun. But Hefe, right? It's about that time.
Dower time. Yeah, let's kick it off. We got some proposals to get through here. Actually, no, we don't. Well, let's do a little review of the last few that ended off here. There's no new fresh proposals in here today. Let me share my screen as well. All right. Okay. And here we go. So these ended only 5 days ago. Agip 102, which is funding, dropped. And this is the alpha. Going to be built by Oliver Spoon and Slick. 80% of the DAO is in favor of this, and 19% voted against it. We have 11 million Ghost in quorum, so quorum was met on that one. And looking forward to this build. This was a really fun experience put together, dungeon crawler put together by Oliver Spoon. So we'll look forward to developments on that. And next up here, we have Agip 104, upgrading the ATF. So many months back, the ATF was given a prize pool fund of 99,500 Ghost, along with 70 fake cards, and those were sent to the ATF Treasury wallet. And so the whole point of these funds are to be used as a funding prize pool for game experiences. It'll be really good to have as we go into like Gotchi chain and whatnot. So a problem with this was that there was a cap. There was a cap that was initially set in the first proposal at 500 Ghost, which wasn't really substantial enough to have like epic tournaments. And there was also some running costs for devs running their client-side servers and all that. So here, the solution: 4,000 Ghosts per calendar year to fund gaming prize pools, 5 fake Gotchi cards per calendar year to be used for game competitions, and then 1,000 Ghosts per year to assist with server hosting cost, playtest funding, fake Gotchi artist commissions, marketing, that sort of thing. So it significantly expands the scope of what they're able to do here. And we have 10 million Ghost in support, so past quorum, and 93% of the DAO is in favor of that. Then we have Agip 103, strategic diversification into ETH with $3 million purchase. Thanks for writing that up, Dr. Wagme. This was well discussed. And so this is maybe a continuation of the bonding curve, debonding plan, where we now held a bunch of DAI that was backed partially by real-world assets. And, DAI is a stable coin, but just to hedge the treasury against any sort of volatility or risk we might see with DAI, we've chosen to purchase 3 million in ETH. And so, there's some benefits, some portfolio diversification, hedging against inflation, some capital appreciation potential, and of course, we also have access to DeFi opportunities. So this could be a good time to maybe start a thread discussion on, okay, once we do have this ETH purchased, is the DAO going to be considering maybe depositing on like Lido Finance or Rocket Pool, something like that, to generate some yield on this? So we can still do that. Some things to keep in mind here: liquidity and market depth for Ethereum. Community engagement. So participation in a major blockchain like Ethereum could enhance. Well, actually, these aren't risks; these are benefits. But could enhance community engagement and visibility too. And this is somewhat marketable too. On the DAO side of things, like I feel like it's a bit of a flex that our DAO at this like prime time has got a $3 million bag of ETH. It's pretty cool. Market volatility, so subject to ETH. We've seen volatility with that before. And, maybe it does complicate treasury access a bit, but I'd say those funds are well allocated, in my opinion. And there's a purchase plan here. The purchases will be made in 6 equal weekly tranches of 500,000 DAI using CowSwap. So I'm sure the directors are on that. And this proposal passed with 9.6 million Ghost in support. 89% were in favor of this proposal. And last year, we have 3.5 million treasury DAI to Aave. And 9.2 million Ghost in support. 91% of the DAO in support of this. And this is simply supplying just over 3.5 million DAI to Aave v3 Ethereum market with a APR of average APR of 4.34%, and that would generate roughly a yield of about $150,000. This also ensures around 500,000 DAI remains in the DAO's Polygon wallet, while also the rest of this DAI is strategically allocated to the Ethereum bot purchase and the Aave v3 deposit. So there's a little pie chart there of where we're at, and there's some benefits here like passive income, some flexibility because you can enter and exit the Aave positions, market optimism, and diversification like we mentioned before. But some friends did bring up some risks with this one, so can't overlook that. There is some platform dependence because we are going to be in the Aave ecosystem. I think withdrawals have been paused temporarily in the past, so that's something to keep in mind if that liquidity needs to be accessed. And also, of course, the stability of Aave's smart contracts. Aave is one of the safer. Like I don't think Aave's ever been hacked. It has a pretty good track record, but of course that doesn't preclude it from those risks. Liquidity.
Just as a FYI, they actually just froze Matic on Aave on Polygon. I don't know if that's been unfrozen, but I noticed there was like a warning a couple days ago that that it was like a frozen asset.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't think as far as like compromised smart contracts, they've had anything in their history so far, knock on wood. But that's something to keep in mind that, there's these temporary pauses or freezes that happen.
Yeah, generally not very often. I think this was probably some other vulnerability that someone had flagged and they're disabling the assets.
Okay.
As a precaution. I don't think it's anything related to Matic specifically.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. And of course, market volatility, which could affect the APR on the overall return, right? That's why it says 4.34 average. That's what you can hope for with that. And then, some smart contract vulnerabilities. Of course, there's a track record of being pretty good there. But there's always a risk of bugs and exploits that you have to keep in mind. So overall, this proposal has, I think I already said it, but 9.2 million Ghost in support, or 9.2 million, in support, 91% in support, sorry. And that sums up the proposal review here. So with that being said, let me stop streaming here. We can discuss the DTF 2.0, otherwise known as Aavegotchi grants proposal, and I'd like to invite some of the team up here. So Fifu, crypto-Gotchi, if you would like to come up, you're welcome up too, sir.
Hi,
GM,
GM, everyone.
how are you?
I'm good. I had my coffee
Nice. Okay.
quite some time ago. Um, okay, just me or you invite also the crypto-Gotchi and PG or
Yeah,
maybe they didn't raise
crypto-Gotchi,
their hands?
PG, you're welcome to come up, join us. Yeah, just put your hand up there. I'll get you up here.
Okay. Refe, my idea was just to make a quick recap of the proposal of its
Mhm.
new version anyway.
Yeah.
So for all the people in the call that haven't followed the thread on Discord precisely, so to get everyone up to speed, and then we'll discuss the feedback we get from the thread that we get this week.
Yes.
Sounds good?
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's great.
Okay, so the new version of the proposal that basically is actually available through a paper that is inside one of the DAO thread, Aavegotchi grants. We change the scope of the proposal. Right now, the only scope of Aavegotchi grants is to review funding requests for projects that will be submitted directly to Aavegotchi grants instead of going through the DAO. The goals are multiple. So first goal is to we disengulf the snapshot, so less proposal in the snapshot, but only very important one, protocol changes, big projects, treasury matters, stuff like that. For small projects, they can avoid tedious subprop plus core prop plus a lot of discussion, sometimes for very small fundings, so it streamlines the process. And we hope that some teams or individual, they may come to ask small fundings. They never ask because of the DAO thing. So we also want to attract builders that never went through the DAO. The team will be in charge to evaluate the project very precisely. We define a number of criteria: technical feasibility, budget and timeline reasonability. Is it aligned with Aavegotchi's vision and goals? Is the team competent? Does the team have experience? What will be the impact on the ecosystem? Is the project innovative? Is it original? And then we will also evaluate if there is potential DAO revenue that could be generated by those projects. If a project is granted funding by the Aavegotchi grant, the team will be in charge to monitor those projects, and we will use a milestone-based funding in order to disperse funds in chunks or in tranche while monitoring the project. So we want to have something that is defined from the start regarding how the money will be streamlined to the project. Project can ask from $500 up to $50K, and it's capped to $70K on a 365 on a yearly period, I would say. The team is a 5 team members so far that I basically handpicked based for each one on their skills. So the goal was to have a team with all the skills needed and that goes well together. This is a pilot program, so the duration is 6 months. The funding is quarter. We will be funded per quarter. The first quarter, every member will be paid for 4 days of work in the month, $500 per day, so $62.5 per hour. So compensation overall is 10K per month. For the first quarter, we go with a fixed compensation because setting up the structure, it's certainly going to cost much time, and we want to limit the compensation budget, and we don't want to spend much more than that on the first quarter, but we expect to spend more time on it than those 4 days of work per person. After the first quarter, we will move to a compensation model per hour paid. So it means if you work only 4 hours for a week, you get paid for those 4 hours, and that's it. We will stick to the same $62.5 per hour, and the overall compensation budget will still be capped at 10K per month overall. Regarding the project, I would say we aim at dApps, tools, dashboards. We aim at game projects, and we aim also at community project and or community events that will not but we don't want to overlap with any other DAO funded structure, of course. For the games, the idea is to give an easier way for a game project to fund a proof of concept or a minimal MVP that can be shipped to the community as a demo. So the community can then test it. And after that, if the project wants additional funding, the idea is that it goes through the DAO, through a SIG-prop plus core-prop thing, process. And the community will decide, because the community would have been able to test the demo so they know what it's talking about. And they'll be able to judge if they like it or not. So that's the idea for the games. We introduce this first small step, POC, MVP, and then the community will decide if they want to go big with the game. For new project and dApps, we think based on the 50K cap that a lot of tools will be able to create solid V1 or like complete their project with the funding below 50K. If someone envision a very large dApps or a very large web project, in that case, it would be the same. The goal of the AG will be to provide enough fund for an MVP. And then if they really want to go big, they will go through the DAO and the community will decide. For existing projects, basically they could come to us and ask some very small fundings just to add a new feature, fix bugs, do some maintenance, and prepare for Gotchi chain. And basically, I think it's a very interesting case because there's a lot of dApps related to Aavegotchi right out there that have been created sometimes ago for most of them. And I guess it's good if we can, because the program will be open for us if they need some very small fundings to make maintenance. So this was a quick presentation. Regarding the big feedback we got from the community in the thread, there were some questions regarding the funding and regarding how we would get funded token-wise. So in the previous documentation we published, we asked to be funded in stablecoin, in DAI basically. And on this new version, we decided like 1 month ago to move away from DAI and choose Ghost because of the DAI stake. Well, because of the DAI that will go to Aave proposal, and then the other proposals that aimed at buying some ETH with the DAI. So because of those proposals, it sounded better for the DAO because it seemed like the treasury, there was a bigger Ghost treasury in the DAO. But based on December treasury report, it's not that obvious. So I think discussion is needed regarding what is the best solution for us and for the DAO regarding which token we are supposed to ask for the funding. The second aspect was raised by Berdid, and it's a legal aspect, legal matter. We take his advice very seriously, and we will investigate the matter. But it doesn't stop us from launching a signal prop. The matter is purely legal, technical, and if the signal prop passes, we will seek legal advice collectively or individually, and we will investigate solution implemented by other protocols who already have a grant committee set up. So even if there are some points like the token we choose and the legal aspects that are still unresolved, we want to move to SIG prop very quick. So Refe, I guess the plan to post tomorrow SIGPROP still holds.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
we
yeah.
want to know if the community agrees with the overall ideas to get such a committee. I just want to remind everyone here that basically these kind of committees are very common, and a lot of protocols have such committees to help kickstart project. And I reviewed a lot of them that have been there sometime for more than 2 years, like Aave, Uniswap, Compound, Arbitrum, and even smaller scale projects have those kind of committees. And I really think with Gotchi Chain coming, with Unity assets being released, with all the stuff coming in 2024 for the Aavegotchi ecosystem, I really think the DAO will need such a committee to streamline project fundings. That's it.
Yeah, no, and it you know, the work this committee will do will fall in line with some of the other initiatives that we're already doing as a DAO, like having greater IRL presence at events like ETH Denver, and taking, forming connections with builders there, with devs there, and actually having a tangible way to bring them onto the protocol, bring their ideas onto the protocol, have a fund for them available. It is enticing as a dev to know, okay, there's actually a grants program for Gotchi Chain. Like that really boosts the appeal for what the dev can actually do here. I don't think they'll see, from the outside looking in, dev that might want to get involved in Gotchi Chain either may not know how to approach that, or may feel intimidated by coming to the DAO as an outsider and asking for funding, even if it's a small amount of funding, and going through the proposal process. That's not to say that their ideas shouldn't be screened. That's the whole idea of the committee. But I think, exactly. Coder Dan, Aavegotchi itself was actually one of the first cohorts funded by Aave grants, and so we're envisioning following in the footsteps of giants and who have done this successfully, have done it well, and it falls in line with what we're trying to build here. And so that's the overall proposal. FIFO, you covered the points really well. Of course, there's some legalities that we'll definitely intend to sort out to make sure things are legit. But as far as the SIGPROP goes, I think it's there's been plenty of discussion around this. It's time for a DAO-wide temperature check. And so that proposal will be going live tomorrow, hopefully. And we'll see kind of what the global DAO feedback is on this. And then we can either iterate, or if it, hopefully it does pass, and we can actually start moving on some initiatives that we've already been thinking about in line with ETH Denver. So I'm just going to look at the chat here. Go ahead, FIFO.
No, I just wanted to say for the legal matter, I started to investigate more how does other grant committees work regarding all the legal matter stuff, how they started 2 years ago and how they are behaving right now. So I know regulation is not the same as it was 2 years ago globally or per country, but the idea is eventually to approach some of the leaders of those committees to get more informations and know exactly how do they manage it, and so to have a good vision of what is a good way to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would also invite, this discussion has had a lot of great feedback, but I'd like to invite others to chime in on what they think and comment in the forum post as well. Oh, yeah, that would be really helpful, actually, Coder Dan. Well, that would be.
Yeah, we're going to be reaching out to Stanny to let them know about the Aave prop. And so I can mention 2 birds in 1 stone here. Also mention that we'd love to have a POC for the Aave grants. I think it's still going. So
Aave grant is still going, is still active, and they are setting up a Cayman Foundation. They start to talk about it, but they've been there for 2 years. They funded project for $5 million. And after funding for $5 million, they are finally thinking about going legit, I would say. So that's where they are actually.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's where we are at right now, guys, with the passionate discussion happening in the chat. You know, some people saying this is too much. Some, like, all the conversation happening in the chat right now is not unique to our DAO. You know, I've been lurking in other DAOs for a while, and Decentraland DAO, their DAO is going through the exact same thing right now. They got a funding community, a funding committee that's trying to be legitimized in their DAO, and you know, trying to ask for funding and all that, proposing different ways to work with the DAO to make this actually happen. So, you know, there are other projects thinking this way already, gearing up for what's ahead here. And so we thought it would be the right time to bring it up here and see what sort of framework the DAO, you know, what framework would work best with the DAO anyway. And I think what FIFO's put together here with the team and the proposal, the operations kind of manual is it's geared towards giving Gotchi Chain and Aavegotchi developers the best possible access to resources while also taking in community feedback. And I think these DAO calls have been a major component of that for the last I don't know how long I've been hosting for now, maybe 2 years now. But it's been a core component of everything that we've been able to achieve in Aavegotchi DAO. And that's not going to change. That'll continue to be the case. So.
Yeah, I guess so. And I just want to emphasize a bit more regarding the fact that if project comes to the Aavegotchi grant first to get a first funding for a large project to produce something that can be tested, that can be demoed, like a POC or MVP, whether for any kind of large project, it gives the community the opportunity to see, test, evaluate the thing. Everyone will be able to check. Is it good? Is it not good? Do they like it? Don't they like it? And then based on that very early iteration, they will be able to decide by themselves if they want to go for the full thing, and they will vote for it on the DAO, on the DAO prop or not. But I think it's a better way for the DAO itself than just saying yes or no for a project that that could ask many $100,000 based on promise, but that hasn't delivered anything yet. It's kind of a middle ground, and I think it's better for the DAO itself also for that reason, because it gives insurance. We know the team has already delivered, even if it's something way smaller. We know they delivered. We know they are serious. Now they go big, but basically they don't come from nothing. There is already something there. There is already a MVP. There is already a POC. There is already a demo. And I think it's a good way to proceed for the DAO itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, so
Well said.
so I do have just a few questions on it then, because I definitely agree that there's absolutely no question that we want a DTF 2.0 type entity. It's been understood since 1.0 stopped functioning correctly. The thing specific to this one, I think that brings up potential questioning or opposition, right, is the suitability for this team to manage a budget of this size. That's kind of one of the big concerns, is just the size of the budget. There's no like opposition to y'all as community members that know what you're doing and contribute actively and are definitely aware of the needs for an entity like this. I think most people, it's just wondering about the 6 month, 300,000K plus spend as a pilot. Thrive came to us as a pilot at 6 months at 100K. We cut them in half down to 50K in 3 months, and it still didn't necessarily prove itself out well. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a reminder that pilots are really meant to be just that, small, tiny tastes of good ideas. The other things that I'd have in mind here is how many props in the last 12 months do you think that would have went to the grants that y'all could have saved potentially that failed at the DAO? We just watched Mechagotchis and we just watched Stratagotchis successfully campaign for $10,000 bootstraps to construct MVPs through the DAO itself, something that most people would say is difficult or a lot of friction and not possible and prevents builders from building. And so it looks like they shrank their big budgets down to micro budgets and successfully were able to get that approval from the DAO just on MVP concepts. And then for me, the last other thing is just, is there still no desire for y'all's team structure to create a seat to involve rotating seats or open community member engagement or anything that would let someone else potentially participate in this board?
So regarding all the question and points you raised, like Helium, I agree with you that there'll be some improvement with some game proposal coming and asking for small funding first. I'm not thinking about the ones that managed to do it. I'm thinking about the ones that didn't even try in a way. Regarding the fact that we're asking large fundings, I agree the numbers are big. I just need to remind everyone they are the maximum funding, and at the end of the pilot program, every unspent funds will be returned to the DAO. So when we say that overall it will be 300K because of compensation plus plus the funding requested to fund projects, I'm not saying it's unlikely we spend everything. I don't know. I think we won't spend anything. I think if we spend everything and there is a lot of requests and we have to say no to projects, I think it will be a sign of success. But I have no insurance over that. So I still call it a maximum budget. And I'm not saying we are going to spend all that money for sure. So that's one of the things. And yes, I am convinced that even if some projects then manage to go through the SIG prop and the core prop, it doesn't mean they were necessarily very comfortable with that way of going, and maybe they would have preferred another process that is shorter, that is that is better adapted to what they wanted of the fundings. And the last thing is that I'm still not comfortable with the fact that a lot of projects are funded by the DAO, but are not monitored at all. And the fact that on top of reviewing projects in a more professional manner than every member of the DAO doing some check by himself, we will also monitor the project and we will take care and we will watch that everything stays on track, and we will manage contingency if there's some need for contingency. So I really think we are bringing a plus to that point too. And regarding the team, it's clear that I handpicked everyone in that team, people I met in the ecosystem from various experience, because I saw it as the good list of skills needed to start. It's clear that if the pilot is a success, or maybe even after the first 3 months, if we see that there are other skills required, or if we need to expand, or some people have to leave, it's clear that I will not keep handpicking people. It's obvious that there will be an announcement and people will be able to send application to enter into the program. So it's not definitely closed forever and for everyone. I'd say it's closed at least for the first 3 months, maybe for the first 6 months. But after that, of course, there will be possibility and there will be some opportunities if some people want to join the program. But it won't be elections. It will be based on application and based on the skills of people applying.
Yeah, I'll just real quick. I'll also speak to that point on community members making their way through the proposal process. I mean, there has been a major trust component. The community members so far that have gone through that process are well-known members, friends people who have contributed to the protocol in many ways, and that's how we functioned up until now. Really, up until this proposal has been put forward, we have functioned as a community, based on community trust and building up value, which I don't argue against. I think that's an important component. But what, in my mind, this will allow us to do is also have resources available for specifically for developers who are maybe on the outside looking in, maybe don't have that community repertoire built up yet, but have a great idea. They met us at Eat Denver. They liked the vibe. They actually came up with a really cool idea for a game. What's the next follow up for that? We've seen, and with larger proposals, we've seen other, I guess, acquaintances, you could say, in the Web3 space coming to Aavegotchi DAO and getting shot down, either because their ideas were maybe not quite in alignment with what we're trying to do here, or they were just, in short, I would say they're maybe not quite in alignment with what Aavegotchi DAO wanted. And the committee here would be able to work with those friends and actually have, whether it's a game or experience or product that's actually in line with what the community would expect in terms of delivery. That to me would be the one major difference in that aspect. And then, this is a trial period. So, people look at the 6 months, the 300K, and they're like, oh, they're going to spend 300K in 6 months. But that's not the case. I mean, it's one of those situations where if the money is there, we're going to get a lot of applicants. I'm sure we will, especially having presence at large events like Denver Consensus. The hope is that we are able to actually onboard a lot of people, a lot of builders through this process, in my mind. And so that would be the major value add from that perspective.
I don't want to keep talking about this the whole hour if there's other things to talk about at all, and I don't want to just continue to dive deeper in this, but it feels like a healthy discussion, and there's not a lot of props to push and stuff, right? Just thinking of the outliers. I'm just thinking of all the exceptions here. So what happens if you guys get this secured, and ironically, we don't see a lot of activation of small builders. We don't see a lot of ideas get brought up and submitted. And say essentially the worst case scenario, the salary gets spent and we get not a lot of productivity out of the results, and you guys don't distribute a lot of that 250,000 funding. Is there any thoughts or speaking to that, or how that's not going to be the case?
Yeah, I mean, in that case, go ahead, FIFO. I'll let you speak to that.
As I said, the first quarter, we will pay with fixed compensation for a number of days of work, because we know we are certainly going to exceed it, but we want to keep the compensation in a reasonable envelope. The next quarter, basically, the amount of compensation we will get paid will be directly in function of the activity of the structure. So it means after the first quarter, if there is not a lot of activity, which is not what I wish, of course, but if there's not a lot of activity, not a lot of requests, not a lot of projects to monitor, basically we won't spend a lot of hours managing the structure, monitoring project, and reviewing requests. So the compensation will also go down drastically, because they will be in line with the activity. So apart for the first 3 months, because we have to set everything up, and because we have to be optimistic and think it is going to succeed, apart for the first 3 months, after that there is a clear relation between how much compensation will cost and what will be the activity of the structure.
For those that are maybe not on board with this proposal for the 250K budget, would you prefer that when they submit this proposal that they have maybe two options, like a 100K budget and a 250K budget? And would that help get your vote for that, or would there be people that are just not going to vote for this on principle? But just knowing that having multiple options does make it harder for the prop to pass.
Yeah, in terms of a temperature check, it's a good point to consider, like to see where people's minds are at, because I know that was one of the concerns that was brought up, is that the large budget for a trial period. But at the same time, on the other end of it, when the budget's much smaller, then people also say, well, the management cost is too high. But this team, like FIFA was saying, is specifically put together to manage grants. And so at the core idea, I don't think is going to change, but maybe the amount could possibly change. That's maybe something that could be felt out in the SIG prop.
I have no issue with taking a SIG prop that way or asking a bit less in terms of the project funding envelope, as long as the ratio between the first quarter fixed compensation, because we know we'll spend much more time than that, so be it. As long as this ratio between the project funding envelope and the compensation envelope is okay. Like otherwise, it will be another matter, I guess. But I'm not like if we say, like as you say, Dan, maybe put two options, or maybe decide to ask less because it will be easier for the proposal to pass. And instead of 250K, we could decide to put a smaller number. I don't have real ideas about it, but we could talk about it and make the change for the proposal. But I have no issue with that, as long as it's not like 50K to fund project on 6 months, as some people suggested, because in that case, the whole structure and the whole plan is not viable anymore.
Is there a list of types of grants for projects, like projects that you guys would like to fund or that would have a higher chance of getting funded if this were to pass? Like obviously people in this community and like coming in need to know that just because you apply doesn't mean you're going to get accepted for a grant. I think you guys will be fairly stingy about how the funds are given out, just knowing what we've talked about already.
I think there'd be a major community activation component for that. Like especially in having, we don't want to be funding things that the DAO is not interested in wanting or needing. So that would probably be the first, as part of the setup process, would probably be one of the first things to knock out, is to have a hierarchy list of funding for the grants program that is, community centric. So we're all, this is all about bringing the community also feedback into what we're doing here. And I think that'd be a major component for that. And also to your question, does the team have any plans for raising awareness of this program? Absolutely. Like not only from, IRL fronts, Eat Denver, Consensus and that, but also through social media. Aavegotchi Grants Twitter, for example, would go a long way, I feel.
Yeah, I think one of the tenets of Aave grants was that they would focus on smaller grants. Like the smaller your grant, the higher your chance of getting accepted was. So that's probably also something we'll follow here.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting way to put it.
I really liked the Aave grant style structures of the lead, and then all the additional members of the board being the reviewers. They didn't seem to have a major concern with the lack of subject matter expertise of that lead, not necessarily representing all 6 of the Web3 discipline areas. It seemed like a lighter weight model to operate, and it seems like they're getting a lot done with their, what'd you say, 1 million or 5 million funded already. They seem a little bit different in their structure than compared to a lot of the other effective grants committees.
Yeah, they have their way to do it. They were also one of the first. So, but yeah, I guess it evolves through time. So, and I hope it will be our case also, and the structure will evolve, the role will evolve also, and we need to get started to be able to evolve anyway, I guess.
Yeah, I think it starts with
Yeah,
it. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say like the DAO, we're not gonna learn anything if we don't try anything. So whether or not it's a 250K budget or 50K or 100K, I think the DAO, this is a net positive for this DAO to be able to increase the velocity of learning a little bit faster. And it might lead to some really interesting initiatives that come through.
You know, it's cliche, but it's one of those. If you build it, they will come. But how much? How much do you want to have there for them to come to? Is the question, and that seems to be the major point of discussion: is how big does this experiment? You know, how big should this experiment be? I think there's been a lot of thought put into the structure of it and the operation of it, and so we would probably try not to change a whole lot of that now at this point, especially reworking the whole proposal based on the previous feedback from the first version. But there's definitely some points to discuss around the amounts and some of those more some of those sorts of details for sure. Yeah. Yeah, Soju also makes a good point there. So, yeah, I mean, I think we've had a good discussion here. If anybody does have additional questions or comments, I direct you to our forum post. It's spicy. It's good. Go check it out. We'd love to get your opinion either way, and we'll get a sig prop up there probably sometime tomorrow, just to get a temperature check from the DAO, and then we'll move forward. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm all for it. And yeah, we're gonna make it, friends. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since Barcelona. It's been
Yeah, it
quite,
really
it's
has.
been quite, yeah, it's been quite
6
some
months,
talk,
man.
and
Yeah.
Well,
no,
if you look back, this like idea of a grants committee has been kind of going on and off since the DTF 1.0. Because as far as an experiment goes, you know, of course, I'm very biased because I was part of it, but I felt like it went really well. We did fund some really great initiatives, including like the Aavegotchi sandbox demo, which led to this really cool experience. But you know, now moving forward, it's like there's been a year a year of trying different things. I remember working with Dr. Wagme and working with Mikey J, and there was an idea of about an executive committee, and there's been many iterations of this idea over the last year, and maybe it just wasn't the right time for any of those things over the last year, given the macro. But now's a good time to discuss and see if there's a fit here for something like that.
I'll remind you too that a lot of those initial DTF 1.0 grants were relatively small, and it made a big impact for the recipients, and it had its intended effect.
Yeah, I think the largest grant we gave out was 15K. So yeah, you're right. They were they were smaller than what's defined here for sure. And yeah, quite impactful as well. I totally agree. Yeah, well, with that being said, friends, we still have 10 minutes here. I just wanted to have an open discussion here. I know we have some maybe some what do you call it, house cleaning, but just some like ongoing discussions we've had in the last week that I want to kind of follow up on. One was the kinship and XP potions. Is there an urgency on that, Coder Dan? Are we looking for some sort of like outcome for that in order to move forward with that, or are we just kind of still having the conversation?
Yeah, there's no urgency at the moment yet for the team. So when we do get to a more urgent point, we'll definitely be raising it again.
Okay. And then there was another one on your guys' side about liquidity, so providing liquidity to Binance, Coinbase.
Yeah, I think that Jesse was going back and forth with the directors and also Skynet about kind of the UBO issue. So I think they're currently still working something out on that side.
Okay, awesome. And I see some other stuff in the chat here. Dr. Wagme saying, can the Aave stablecoin proposal be moved to core prop for 14 days?
Yeah, I think Thrax will do a pass on the SIG props early next week.
Done. Okay. And then we have one from Oliver Spoon here. The future of respec potions. There's quite a bit of discussion around this. Oliver Spoon, you're welcome to come up here as well, actually, if you'd like to, and we can chat on that. But I think we were talking about the nature of how these are going to be distributed and also if they're going to be supply capped. Yeah, no worries.
I see one post in that thread from crypto-Gotchi where he said, and also Light Piglet, saying they should be unlimited. Alchemy skill sounds cool, but might be another layer of complexity, not really needed. 100 essence plus 1k FUD plus some alchemica. And let's see. Then crypto-Gotchi said they should be unlimited, should be sold on the website, no skill needed. Non-tradable, cost 10 ghost. And I'm not sure what the other question was. I think it was about who will actually do it. Yeah, who will build this? Because I know the Forge team was currently contracted to do, I think, as far as I remember, they were contracted to build the potion. And Diddlypoo has done some work on the contract already, but it's not for an infinite potion. It's because the way that the wearables work, they don't really support infinite mints. So if we did an infinite potion, it would probably need to be a new type of NFT. So that might require a little bit extra work.
I mean, what the potion's going to be trying to achieve is give the player flexibility in adjusting the meta across their Gotchi. Gearing it one way, maybe specifically tipping it one way or the other based on how many points they've accumulated. That's like a really valuable thing to have in a game, especially when you're talking about across multiple different games. Just talking about Axie Infinity, they'd have seasons. So every season you would have like a tournament, and then the meta would change like in between the tournaments. People would figure out what Axie parts work better and stuff. And that's the reason why millions of Axies got breeded, because people had to keep changing the meta and keep breeding for different parts to gain that advantage. But Gotchis can't do that because we're not multiplying the Gotchis. We're not breeding them just to change the traits or whatever. So that's where the respec potion would come in, because it allow you to reallocate all your points so you're ready for the next season. If we're moving away from melee and like the range is having more of an advantage, then people will start gearing their Gotchis to being more range Gotchis, and then it'll become range dominant, and people will find some other meta build that'll be like maybe a mix of melee and range, for example, and then people will start moving towards that way. So it kind of keeps the whole it keeps the playability of every Gotchi there, in my opinion.
Yeah. Shift in meta is a good thing, always.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Goops has a really interesting idea as well here. Little different sizes of respec potions. I don't know on the technical aspects of this, how this would work, but a little respec, lots of respec. So a little respec would be one trait, lots of would be all traits. But interesting.
So it sounds like Dr. Wagme is saying the plan is to drop one to each Gotchi, as previously outlined in the SIG prop, core prop, and then the community can decide if they want another process for unlimited distribution. So unless there is another proposal passed to update that, then it sounds like we're getting limited quantity, 25,000 of these respec potions that would be dropped to each Aavegotchi, like we've done with like backgrounds probably. So obviously, I don't think we want to create like two systems of respec potions either, though. So if they drop one to each Gotchi, that it almost limits us from having unlimited potions in the future. It's also a great sink that we're kind of limiting because it's probably one of the most interesting sinks that the ecosystem will have.
It's better to have, in my opinion, and for many games I played, when there is a respec thing that is limited in volume, and like Diablo 2, those kind of games, you really think about it before respecing, and you do think carefully. And I like that aspect compared to infinite respect. Now, as Gotchi are going to be used in multiple of games, it might be a bit different, but still.
Dr. Wagme, I agree that we don't. If the DAO needs to make up its mind about how this mechanic needs to work, the question is if hardcore or someone makes a proposal to change it from a limited potion to an unlimited, then would that affect the budget that the Forge team applied for, or how would you like to handle that?
I mean, yeah, is this something the Forge could build, right? Like if we vote to make it unlimited, maybe there's some sort of an extension or something.
Agi, I respectfully disagree on that point. I think respec potions, we're not changing all the stats of the Gotchis. We're only changing the ones that were added on by the owner of the Gotchi, which is not really that significant in the long run, unless there's a change later to give more spirit points. We're not talking about like re-rolling the Gotchi.
The VRF traits would stay the same. Your randomly generated traits when you summon your Gotchi would still be there. You would just get all your accumulated points back. So from XP and from age, right? Or is it just one of them?
Yeah, it's just the ones that you spent that you earned from
age and XP.
From XP.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I guess we should continue that discussion in the forum thread there for respec potions. It sounds like there's some decisions to be made there, and also curious to hear from the Forge team what their thoughts are on building it out as a unlimited. Maybe there's a budget extension requirement there.
It doesn't sound like the Forge team's going to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's something they'll have to decide. But keep the discussion going in the forum post there. Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. Cleared up. Dr. Wade.
I see a lot of ideas and things coming up that end in the Forge here lately amongst the community.
Why? What's the reason for not? Just because it's not a massive difference in smart contracts. You just because the DAO voted for the one that you proposed, and if the DAO changed its mind, you just wouldn't want to do that. What would happen? Would you prefer to just not contract with the DAO for that feature anymore?
I sort of agree with Hardcore's point that just giving one potion away is probably gonna not be the greatest outcome.
We know what's happened already. We've seen the outcome with kinship potions. I don't think we really want that to happen again.
Well, especially for such a valuable potion, like people really want that.
Yeah.
So
it's perfect as a consumable. Right. Well, I guess take that to the forums, and if the Forge doesn't want to build it, and the DAO had a vote to build it, then yeah, we'll have to find some sort of middle ground there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah, we'll continue the discussion there in the forum post because that seems like a point that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, if they're non-transferable, maybe that's a good middle ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Coder Dan, do you think it's worth putting up a vote? Someone can put up a sig prop if the DAO wants these to be limited and soul bound, or unlimited and not soul bound.
I'd have to look at the original proposal. Was there any specification about whether they would be soulbound or tradable in the bazaar? I don't quite understand why it's an easy way to climb rarity farming. You're not really, I mean, most people have already optimized their gotchis for rarity farming. If they're respecing them, they're probably optimizing them for a game, not for rarity farming.
Mm-hmm.
I would say most gotchis, unless I'm missing something here. It is past midnight, but
No, I
what
agree with
is
you in that regard, right? Once you have your points paid out, that you've now peaked your BRS, and so if you respec, you're still gonna hit the same peak BRS distribution. You're just gonna change the allocation of it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't
Right,
do
right.
we don't do a rarity farming leaderboard based on aggression, on energy. So there's no real gamification to attack there. The respec main benefit seems to be changing your functional stats within functional situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we should continue the conversation in the forums, friends. Appreciate all you, 55 of you, coming to join us here today on Saturday morning. And yeah, are there any other announcements from anybody else up here for this week? Anything else?
No,
going
I
on?
can say we are going to aim to have Ghost Staking 2.0 proposal live in the forums next week, and I'm sure there'll be some discussion on that. We'll try to have some details as well about like the glitter and how much glitter it will cost to like modulate positions. That's not really fixed yet, though. I think that's something we can a point that we can definitely discuss with the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, with that being said, friends, enjoy the rest of your weekend. If we don't see you during the week, I know there's always things going on. Gotchi Gang, no futuristic spaces. Go check them out. Other than that, yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Go play some Gotchi games, and yeah, have a good weekend.
I love this stuff so much, friends.
See
Proud of
you,
y'all.
friends.
Who
Peace.
doesn't love a little governance, man? This is the best part of the space.
That's right.
Have a nice
Absolutely.
day, everyone.
GM
Bye.
fam.
All right. Peace.